Sorry.
Can everybody hear me okay? Good volume? Okay, all right, great.
All right, everybody, thank you guys all for coming to our CMS PTA Meet the Board of Education Candidates Night, and we have the mayoral candidates here as well. My name is Sarah Rabito. I serve as the co-president of the CMS PTA. I have two children, one in first grade here at CMS, and another who's eagerly awaiting to join the ranks next year. Tonight is about something simple and important: partnership. Families, educators, and the Board of Education all share responsibility for what happens in our schools. We all care about the same things: safe buildings, strong academics, the arts, services for students who need support, and making sure every child in Norwalk has what they need to learn and thrive. Board of Ed members make real decisions that affect our kids every single day: budgeting, staffing, class sizes, programming, transportation, field trips, enrichment, special education resources, all of it. So your voice matters. Showing up tonight matters. Here's how tonight's going to work. We'll introduce each of the candidates and their affiliations, and then we're going to move into the questions focused on the issues that directly affect Norwalk Public Schools and our students. We'll then take a little bit of a break. Everybody go to the bathroom, relax for a second, stretch your legs, and then we're going to have the mayoral candidates come up and speak for a few minutes and give their stance on education and the budget as well. After that's all done, as time permits, we're going to have questions by the audience. We're asking that you write your questions down. During the break, I'll come and collect them, and we'll kind of get them back up here for Mike. There's papers down there with all of the pre-selected questions. If you'd like to kind of follow along, you can write your audience questions down there, and then we'll come back up and bring them. A couple quick notes before we begin. We're here to stay informed. We're not arguing with each other. Please be respectful of every candidate who took the time to be here, and respectful of each other. We can disagree in approach and still agree on the goal, which is giving Norwalk kids the best possible education. With that, it's my pleasure to introduce our moderator for this evening, Mike Stenger. Mike is a lifelong resident who currently serves as the parent co-chair of Norwalk Elementary School's Governance Council. He is the founder and principal attorney at Stenger Law right here in Norwalk, where he helps community members navigate probate court, employment issues, and estate planning. In addition to his legal work, Mike is a passionate advocate for Norwalk students and families, and works alongside parents and educators to strengthen the partnership between schools and our community. Mike is here tonight in a neutral role to help guide the conversation and make sure every candidate has an equal opportunity to speak. He'll be asking the questions, enforcing the time limits, and keeping the forum fair and focused. Thank you for being here and lending your voice. I'm going to give it to you.
Good evening, everybody. I would like to just briefly start by thanking Sarah Rabito, Lori Braddock, Vanina Lesko, and all the other parents who volunteered and organized this forum for tonight. I'd also like to thank Ponus for hosting us here this evening, and for all the candidates who have come here to answer the community's questions. Finally, I would also like to thank everyone who showed up here tonight for being here and for your ongoing support of Norwalk Public Schools. Now to our candidates, in order from closest to me to furthest away, randomly selected. Lisa Brinton is town chair of the Independent Party and a retired AT&T executive. She's been deeply involved in Norwalk schools for over 15 years through PTOs, after-school programs, and the NPS district data management team. She is running to address school funding challenges and fighting for fairer state education dollars, prioritizing fiscal accountability and educational quality over politics. Xavier Guzman is an engineer, IT business partner, and educator who has long volunteered in schools and community programs. A proud parent of 3, he is running for the Board of Education to promote equity, transparency, and responsible planning. With his background in education and technology, he aims to strengthen trust, support teachers, and ensure every child can reach their full potential. Alexandra Kemeny, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, is that right? Kemeny, okay, great, first time. Born and raised in Norwalk, Alexandra is a lifelong educator and co-founder of the Crystal Theater. After earning both her bachelor's and master's degrees in music and education from Western Connecticut State University, she served Norwalk Public Schools for 31 years, teaching at Ponus, Rowayton, and Columbus Magnet. Retired since 2019, she continues her decades-long dedication to children through arts education and remains an active member of the Norwalk community, where her daughter also resides. Next is Marcus Jaime. He is a school counselor with over 20 years in education. He lives in Norwalk with his wife and 2 children who attend Wolfbit Elementary. A proud product of public schools himself, he's committed to building a student-focused culture through collaboration, problem solving, and ensuring all children have access to quality education and opportunity. Next is Tricia Masuko. She is a lifelong Norwalk resident and is the director of elementary programs for the Carver Foundation. Tricia has been active in NPS for decades as a parent and school volunteer. Cross-endorsed by the Republican and Independent parties, she's running to restore transparency and accountability, ensuring resources go directly into classrooms to support students and teachers. Next is Dana Nellie Cole. She is a lifelong resident of Norwalk and a graduate of Norwalk Public Schools. Her parents were staunch believers in the value of education, and like her father before her, Nellie seeks to serve the city that she has called home for 40 years. As a participant in Norwalk's citywide music program and a graduate of the Center for Global Studies at Brian McMahon, Nellie understands just how pivotal such opportunities can be for students. Nellie has her BA in Arts History from UConn and is a proud member of Delta Alpha Pi Honor Society for students with disabilities. Next is Sherry McCready Brown. She is currently the vice chair of the Norwalk Board of Education and is seeking re-election to continue advocating for equity and opportunity in public education. A lifelong Norwalk resident and graduate of Brian McMahon High School, she brings deep experience in public service, including leadership roles in education, housing, and community empowerment. And last but not least, Artie Kasimis, a Norwalk resident for 40 years. He is the former Board of Education Vice Chair and current Board of Estimate and Taxation Commissioner. Artie brings extensive experience and deep community roots. He's running to restore transparency and accountability to the BOE, ensuring taxpayer dollars are used responsibly and that Norwalk families can trust their school leadership. Before we begin, did I skip somebody? Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. My apologies. I'm seeing down the line here, so my apologies. Of course, Garrett Oliver is also here. He is a 12-year Norwalk resident and is also running for the Board of Education at large on the Democratic ticket. With more than 20 years in property management and real estate, he brings pragmatic leadership and professional experience to address challenges facing Norwalk schools. A dedicated mentor and community advocate, he is focused on equity, integrity, and effective governance. My apologies for that. Before we begin, I would like to remind each candidate that your responses to each question are limited to 1 minute. You will be provided with a 30-second warning and a 10-second warning from Sarah down here. And you will be allowed to finish your thought if you begin it before your time expires. I will also remind everyone to use their time to actually answer the questions as posed and to keep tonight's proceedings civil and collegial. Finally, the first candidate to offer their responses will rotate for each question. We will begin round 1 in alphabetical order by last name. We only have 5 pre-selected questions and 9 candidates, so not everyone is going to have the opportunity to speak first on the question. But with that, let's begin. Our first topic this evening is equity and access. Many families express concern that opportunities vary widely across Norwalk schools, from access to experienced teachers to enrichment programs and facility quality. Ms. Brenton, as a board member, how will you ensure that every student, regardless of neighborhood, background, or school, has equitable access to high-quality teachers, programs, and learning environments?
Thank you very much. I'm here and I'm running basically to try and bring true. Can you hear?
Yeah, we can pass the mic.
All of a sudden, I usually don't have a problem.
You got to turn that on.
Hello? Yeah. Okay. The only reason why I'm running for the Board of Education and I'm also running for Common Council is to basically stop the finger pointing that's been going on between the Council and the Board of Ed regarding the state of our finances. Equity and access in American education is a fallacy. Unlike every other developed country on the planet, we fund by zip code. We fund by housing value and zip code, meaning that rich towns can pay and poor ones can't. Decades ago, on the ECS formula, of which Norwalk has been shortchanged, there was a lawsuit filed in 2004 by Mayor Knott. Basically, that was voted on and said by the courts at that time that the funding was unfair, and it was overturned in 2018. The legislature was told to fix it. Norwalk is stuck in the middle because of our higher property values in Fairfield County, but our 70% high need students, which are made up of special ed students, MML students, and free and reduced lunch. Norwalk's officials have been silent on this for over a decade. We've been fighting budget issues since my kids were in the school system in 2005.
That's time, I'm sorry.
So basically, someone's got to tell the truth. We will never have fair funding until we address fair funding for the school system.
Mr. Guzman.
Good evening, and thank you for the invitation. So the reason I decided to join and be part of the Board of Education is because I think we are missing the data-driven requirement to be able to fund schools and to provide equity in the way we are going to teach our kids, provide support to our teachers, and also how we're going to use efficiently the funds and any money that we get for the school systems. So we're not using that efficiently. As a technological person, I think we can start using technology to start addressing these situations and start using more efficiently the money we use without putting burden into us, the taxpayers. And also, we need to find a way to work with our representative to modify the formula for the funding that Hartford gives to us. So I think that's the correct way to do and work to bring equity and bring this new era of school systems for Norwalk.
Thank you. Mr. Heim is next.
Hi, thank you. To address equity and access, I think taking funds out of the central office and putting them back into schools, creating professional development opportunities for teachers, but not just only professional development, but making it data-driven, where every school has highly effective teachers in it, and if we can create a database where teachers can actually share their best practices that's data-driven, and then after the PDs kind of see what's working, what's not, I think that'll be the best way. In a perfect world, we would have more money, we would be able to get more ECS funding, but in the event that we are not able to, which in this climate is highly likely, I think using the funds appropriately right now by getting the money back into the school system and using the effective teachers we have to share with one another, I think that'll be the best way to create access and equity in the school system that we currently have.
Great. It's going to be Mr. Kasimis next. We're going to get another mic too, I think, but just pass it all the way down to the end for now.
You ready? Right. Studies show that when parents are engaged, that the student does exponentially better. What I would do is go into the communities and have meetings and talk to the parents, ask the right questions. Are their kids being served? Is there anything missing? Are we missing anything? Because when the parents are there, I guarantee that the students will excel in everything they do. And I think we have to ask the right questions. Secondly, when I was on the Board of Ed, there was a motion on the floor to do a pay-to-play for sports. And that's to charge every single kid to play sports. I was the only board member to fight against it, and I got everybody swayed, and we stopped it. Because that would have left those that were economically challenged not able to pay to play in addition to buy any kind of uniforms or anything they had to do. So every single kid, a lot of them, the only way to college is through sports. So I was able to do that. Finally, every year I give away thousands of backpacks to kids that are underserved in this community, and I do it for one reason, that on day one when they walk into school, they have a backpack, they have a pencil, they have a notebook. I even got them socks from Bombas so they can start on a level playing field.
That's time. Thank you very much. Next is going to be Miss Kennedy. And you know what? I'm going to just use mine over here so we don't have to do the whole passing back and forth. That's okay.
I got it.
You got it?
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. Okay, so now to address equity in all the schools. Thank you very much for having us here, by the way. I think that parents, as I agree with Artie, that one of the important things, the parent involvement in the schools. There were always governance councils, which had a little bit more say that I hear. They've been losing a lot of their voice in the schools. So I think we need to guarantee there's more parental voice. I also feel that some children have no equity, the ones who behave themselves. Their behavior issues sometimes aren't addressed, and parents need to be involved, because some of these children, the children who have issues, and the other children are suffering because of these behavioral issues. So I think that needs to be addressed so that there's more equity in the classroom for all students. Also,
Thank you, that's time.
That's it?
That's it, that's a minute, yep. Ms. Masood goes next.
Thank you, everyone, for having me here tonight. For me, I took a different look at this question. I looked at, first of all, quality teachers. I just want to say that we have quality teachers in every single one of our buildings, and we need to really celebrate that. We have SGCs, and somebody else brought that up. They were originally a decision-making body, and now they're pretty much advisory. Somewhat taking some parental power away, and I think that parent outreach needs to come back. I looked at our facilities. Every building has something different in it, and I took a look at our 2021 facility studies and looked at each building and what each building actually needs. And we have a 20-year plan with the Norwalk Public Schools to make sure that we are bringing our buildings up to code. Again, we need to continue. Parental outreach is really the most important thing. And we also need to listen to our students, especially on the high school level. They really have a lot to say, and we need to continue to make that in our decision-making process.
That's
Thank you.
time, thank you. Oh, sorry. Next we have Ms. Creedy-Brown.
Can everybody hear me? Because I don't need the mic. 4 years ago, one of the things I ran on was equity. And I can tell you, equity was not always a focus at Norwalk Public School. But today it is. Equity is a core value in this district. We believe that a student zip code should never determine their opportunities. We address equity by ensuring all students, regardless of race, language, income, or neighborhood, have access to high-quality teachers, programs, and resources. Our hiring practices have improved, our mentoring programs are stronger than ever, and we're using data to make sure staffing and support are aligned to students' needs. We've expanded academic and enrichment programs across the district through STEM programs, world language access, and workforce development to ensure that our students engage in meaningful learning. And when it comes to facilities, we're investing in modern, safe, and healthy learning environments. New construction and major renovations are transforming our schools.
Thank you. Ms. Nellie Cole is next.
Sorry. Thank you for having us here. In regards to equity and access, one of the things that is very important is making sure that we do not overlook our underprivileged communities. This was a problem for many years, specifically the South Norwalk community got completely shafted, and it's only recently that we've started building new facilities, and it's part of this. I know that right now with funding, we're kind of in a triage situation, but it's doing the best we can with the funds that we have. There are certain things that we can do, like unified curriculum across the district, like the literacy initiative for K-12. But again, it's making sure that we focus on that the funds go to where it absolutely needs to go. Thank you.
And Mr. Oliver.
First, I'd like to say thank you for having us here. I think this is very important, and we all, I think, appreciate this opportunity to talk to you. In regards to equity and access, I think it really comes down to knowing what our families and our communities need, what our parents need for their kids. So I would love to see us do more outreach, to actually engage them more, to see what we can do to help them. I'd also like to see us actually leverage technology so it actually helps us to help our teachers, to give them the tools that they need to have every single student reach their potential. Coming from a family where I have 2 teenage daughters in the school system, I get a chance to hear their concerns and the concerns of their friends. So I would love for us to actually be able to meet their needs and to bring them to the next level. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. That was everybody. We got everybody? I didn't mess that one up? Okay. All right, our next question is on facilities and growth. Enrollment continues to rise while some buildings face overcrowding and aging infrastructure. Families and teachers are asking how the district will plan ahead for space and resource needs. Mr. Guzman, what is your plan to address overcrowding and ensure that all schools have the capacity, facilities, and resources to support Norwalk's growing student population?
In this situation, we need to look again at data. I know we are using data and we can say data, but are we planning for the long term or are we using that for the little short term? This needs to be planned ahead. And the data is going to tell us the trend not only for enrollment in schools, but new people coming to Norwalk. What is going to be the demographics in the future? What are we going to need? Where we can build new schools? Where sites that we can work with developers, the community, school leaders, administration, and the facilities need to be flexible to give the teachers the flexibility to have students to accommodate their needs, to have the support they need. So we need to think in the future. We cannot think in the short term. Let's use the data for that and be efficient and transparent and hear to the community what is the feedback they have for the school system and what they need and want.
Thank you. Mr. Jaime.
Thank you.
To address the overcrowding, I think one of the things on a school level is to utilize the space in a creative way, which could be collapsing offices. Not every person needs an office. You could share offices. On a grander scale, I believe that the mayor's office, the common council office, and the board of education need to work collaboratively to ensure that every student has access to transportation, that they're able to travel outside of their district if need be. I think that's one way of avoiding the overcrowdedness that we see and also creating equity within the school system. So I think it's a grander question that's beyond the scope of the actual board, but it needs to be in collaboration with the mayor's office and the common council to really make a difference in the overcrowded population and also maximizing on the space that we do have.
Thank you. Mr. Kasimis.
Student enrollment in 2023 school year was 11,514. This year, school enrollment is 11,404. So actually, student enrollment is going down. When I was on the Board of Ed in 2013, I took over as facilities chairman because of a resignation, and I worked with Dr. Rivera, and we initiated a facility study. Because of that study, 2 things came out of it. Number 1 is we needed 2 brand new schools. The Sono school that we just saw opened up this year is a result of that. It's 10 plus years in the making. Also, CMS, we put that at K-8 school and put a wing here and brought it over here. The other thing we found out is that we needed to renovate our schools. Jefferson School had 8 portables in the back. We renovated that school. Cranberry had to be renovated as new. You put an air conditioner in, you plug it in, the whole school went blank. And so we put the new school there. Tracy needs to be renovated as new. Kendall needs to be renovated, and Wolf Pit needs to be renovated. So we need to renovate more schools.
Thank you. Ms. Kennedy.
Well, yes, we do need a lot of renovation. The problem is it costs a lot of money. So where are we going to find these funds? I know that we need somebody who's very savvy in the accounting department. That is not my forte, unfortunately. So we need to find somebody who can go to the state and get our fair share of the ECS funds, because we are educating many MLL students and we aren't getting equal funding, equitable funding, in order to do it and do a good job so they themselves can live the American dream. We need to get more money, so I don't know where we're gonna get it, but we need to find somebody, and that's all. Or we move people around. If there's a school that's, we have to be creative and come up with some creative ideas.
Thank you. That's fine. Thank you. Ms. Masuka?
So I agree, enrollment has relatively stayed the same. I don't really agree that it has gone down. It's pretty much stayed flat. But we are seeing certain buildings that are definitely overcrowded, and I can tell you in 2017, my daughter graduated Brian McMahon. She didn't even have a locker. My youngest went to the old CMS school, and that building had needed renovations for years. These are things that have fallen through the cracks, the maintenance of our buildings. But I'm going to refer back to that facility study. The facility study did say that Fox Run, Narragansett, West Rocks, Nathan Hill, and Roten Middle School and Wolf Pit are all in need of upgrades. And all the schools, and it's a 20-year plan. It's going to cost upwards of $500 million. And if you listen to Alan Lowe on a recent meeting, he actually said that it was going to take every 3 years for us to upgrade.
Thank you.
So again, thank you.
Ms. McCreary-Brown?
Norwalk Public Schools has undertaken a multi-pronged 25-year facilities plan. For instance, the new Norwalk High School building construction is underway, designed to house 9th through 12th grade students, up to 2,000 students. And we just opened the new South Norwalk School, which will house children K through 3, expanding to K through 5. Thereby creating capacity and reducing overflow. At the same time, ongoing renovations continue to better meet the current and projected student enrollment and to ensure safe and modern learning environments for students and staff. The district is using demographic studies and enrollment projections to anticipate growth with the goal to ensure that we are creating equitable, future-ready schools to reflect the needs for today's students and tomorrow's workforce.
Thank you. Ms. Cole?
So I personally had some experience in regards to the overcrowding, at least before facilities were able to be renovated, specifically at Brad McMahon. I graduated in 2003, so just before they were able to put in the full grant proposal and get the renovations and everything. And so our homeroom and actually one of my classrooms, we had to share with 2 other classes as part of the global studies. My Japanese class we took in the French classroom, and it was just trying to do the best we could with the space we had, and it's in a building that hadn't been rebuilt since it was first put up in '65. So it's a matter of making sure that we I know it seems like we're constantly putting money, but that is something that we have to do. But one thing that Barbara Smith has proposed is having a grant proposal writer, which is something that will pay for itself with the grants that we can get and the money that we can put back in. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Albrecht?
So coming from the world of real estate development, I would say the most crucial thing is lack of space, lack of space, lack of space. We have kids that need schools. They need new schools. We are working on that. But we also need to work on renovating the current schools that we do have, as Sherry mentioned. There's always going to be a need for that, and that comes down to money and how we allocate the money, where we allocate the money. So we want to make sure that we're putting it back into the school system, back into building new schools and renovating the ones that we have for better use for the kids that we have in these schools and for our upcoming kids.
Thank you. Our next oh gosh, man, you know what? I really should have prepared a little bit more for this, I guess. Sorry, Lisa, go ahead.
That's okay. As many of the folks have said up here, our enrollment's actually gone down. And in fact, over the last 20 years, it's been pretty steady at about 11,500. What has changed is the student makeup. Our demographics have changed tremendously. We've lost about 450 white students. We've lost about 225 African American students. One of the things, and I don't doubt that we have, some overcrowding in certain schools. I suspect Tracy and Kendall, and I hear CMS is getting overcrowded. I think we need to look at where the enrollment is around the city and look at some more flexible ways of doing things, but we aren't any bigger. What we have already done is bonded out about $500 million worth of construction right now. And our debt for carrying that's about $42 million, which comes out of the operating budget, which then comes out of our teaching and our operations budget. So I think we need to look at where the students are around the district and start figuring out if there's some more creative ways we can do it citywide. But we are not bigger, and if anything, we're getting smaller. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, on to our third question for real this time. Teacher shortages and burnout are major challenges nationwide, and Norwalk has been no exception. Competitive pay, manageable workloads, and a positive culture are key to retaining great educators in our district. Mr. Jaime, how will you attract, retain, and support teachers and staff while keeping working conditions and compensation competitive within our region?
Thank you. Hiring teachers is vital. Competitive salaries attract more people. However, job safety, I think, also attracts more people. Teachers need to feel like their jobs are not going to be at risk due to unforeseen budget cuts. I think having teachers stay at schools instead of the turnover that we sometimes notice is key to job security. We cannot face the same budget crisis we faced last spring. I think having the funds reallocated, I mean, it's wonderful if we could get more ECS funds, and in a perfect world, we could just get unlimited ECS funds. But what do we do if we don't have ECS funds? How do we manage the budget that we have now? I truly believe, I hate to sound redundant, but taking money away from the central office and putting it back into our school system, hiring more teachers, hiring more school aides. I think that's the way to go to avoid teacher burnout. Teachers need each other. One of the things that wasn't spoken about last spring was how many special education services were cut. And that has affected teachers tremendously across the entire district.
That's time, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Casinos.
There are several ways to attract and retain teachers. One way is to make salaries competitive. I don't think that the average person knows what a teacher invests in their education just to become a teacher. My daughter is a special ed teacher at Cranberry. She has 2 bachelor's degrees and 2 master's degrees. All of that her own money that she's invested and worked hard for, and her starting salary was $51,000. So I think we can do better than that. The other thing we can do is 2 R's, I call it: reward and recognize our teachers. And it doesn't have to cost a lot of money. It may not cost anything. Everybody likes to be appreciated. So we can recognize our teachers, reward them by giving them a teacher of the month, giving them a special spot in front of the school, or a day off. It doesn't cost a lot of money. But the more we appreciate them, I think the more we can retain them.
Thank you. Ms. Kennedy.
Well, having been a teacher for 31 years in the Norwalk school system, I'll tell you what teachers want more than anything is a voice. They need a voice, and we need to have teachers available to tell the Board of Ed what their needs are. They also need support in behavioral issues. They have so many things they want to teach in the classroom, and you can't teach because some child is disrupting the whole class, and there's not enough support there to help them. There's also students that don't speak English, and they have to deal with that situation in one classroom. They have multi-levels of abilities in one classroom, from low to middle, and they have to inspire the high students. and they don't have enough support. They have to do lesson planning that they have to hand in every day. They have all kinds of science, math, for every single day they have to plan. They need dialogue and transparency for the teachers without retribution when they ask for the support they need.
Thank you. Ms. Masuko?
Start early with recruitment, and I'm going to say it again, start early with the recruitment. We cannot be hiring teachers in August, and for the start of the school year, we need to make sure that our children have that adult in their room that they can count on. We need to partner with local universities. Those are the pipeline for our schools. We need to have an internal referral program. I am sure many teachers in our district, administrators, know of individuals that would like to partner and be part of the Norwalk Public Schools and teach our children. Now, the retention. We need to have differentiated professional development. I know that a lot of that is happening already, but we need to continue with that. We need mentors for new teachers. We have instructional coaches in our schools, and those teachers help parallel teachers. They work with new teachers, they work with teachers that have been significant, and we need to encourage feedback between teachers and leadership. That is what they need to be heard. So thank you.
Thank you. Ms. McCready-Brown?
We know that attracting great educators is the key to success. For example, we have taken steps to stay competitive, including offering regionally competitive salaries, strong benefits, and professional growth opportunities. Through partnerships with local universities, we're building a pipeline of new teachers, especially in high-need areas like special education and MLL. We are also providing benefits to our new teachers by offering mentor programs and leadership development for all staff. However, moving forward, we will continue to work closely with our union partners to ensure working conditions are fair, supportive, and sustainable. Our goal is to make sure that Norwalk is not just a place to work, but a place to grow.
Thank you.
So this is something that is an issue not just in Norwalk, but all across the nation. But as far as what we can do here, increased salaries is obviously something that we would like to work towards. Again, seeing where we can get the funds. If we have to knock down the doors up at the state capitol to do that, that's what we have to do. But it's also, again, making sure that there's the opportunities both for growth in especially like special education, multi-language learners, with trainings and certifications, and also retention. Again, with the budget crisis, this was something where some teachers, they weren't sure if they were going to retain their job, and so they up and left, and that's not something that we should have in the future. And so it's that open communication that we need to maintain and let them know they're being supported. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Oliver?
So first let me say, I have the utmost respect for all teachers. The job they do is amazing. I will say during COVID, when we had our kids home, and my wife and I had to help the teachers teach our kids, I like to think I'm pretty intelligent. Google was my best friend during that time. So I think it's very important that we support our teachers. The problem is, we have teachers that can't afford to live in Norwalk, where they teach. So it's twofold. One, we need to increase their salaries because they are controlling what our kids are learning. They are molding them. They are helping them become our future, and they're struggling to do that. Two, we need to look at housing for teachers so they can afford to live in Norwalk where they teach. That is crucial. So you can't do one without the other. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Martin?
I agree with a couple of the other comments. One was recruit earlier, but recruits read the headlines that we all read about the budget problems. And when you've got a last in, first out, that's kind of hard in terms of recruitment. The issues that Norwalk is facing are same as what surveys have done in Education Week and CEA. Teachers want more support, more paraprofessionals, probably less administration. We need mental health counselors. We need help in SPED. Like I said, Norwalk is no different than any other school district. We do have a high turnover in superintendents. We've had 10 over the last 20 years, 5 permanent and 5 interims. They all bring their own style and leadership style. I'll leave it at that. But superintendents are supposed to work for the Board of Ed, not the other way around. Teachers want better advocacy. They want support for discipline issues. They want better communication, less micromanagement, more consistent treatment across the district.
Thank you. Mr.
All right. We educators are the backbone of education to form the society, to thrive and to plan into the future. The children are the future of Norwalk and our nation. But we need to be supported. Yes, I don't work for the public system, I work for the private, but I have friends, I know teachers, and we talk, we share. We need to be heard. We need to collaborate. We need to have professional development and support from other colleagues to help us with discipline when we have multi-language learners. It's not just about the salary, it's about the collaboration. We want to be heard. We want to have support. And we need to have flexibility because every child learns in a different way. And if we have that differentiation and the flexibility to plan our lessons, we can help them learn.
Thank you. All right, our next topic concerns student wellness and special education. Families continue to cite gaps in mental health services and special education support, with some students waiting too long for evaluations or interventions. Mr. Kasimis, how will you address staffing shortages and improve access to mental health and special education services so that all students' academic, social, emotional, and developmental needs are met?
So there are several issues here, and it gets complicated and it's costly. Number one, from what I was told, the company that we get the subs from, I think it's called ESS, sometimes the teachers get subs, sometimes they don't. It's unreliable, and we need to fix that. And that's one of the reasons why our caseloads are so high in special ed, because the special ed teacher is doing it all themselves. Now, we need a comprehensive study to determine how many kids are getting services they need and align them with the correct professionals in every school. Not every school is the same. Needs are different from school to school. Some schools have occupational therapists, some have physical therapists, some have speech therapists, some have social workers, some have counselors. Not every school has everything the same. So we really have to take a look at that. Peter Drucker said this: if you don't measure something, you can't manage it. And I think right now it's not being managed correctly. So that's something that we really have to fix.
Thank you. Ms. Kemeny.
Staffing shortages are critical in these areas. Social workers and counselors' caseloads are much too large for productivity and have an effect on the total school climate. So prevention is the key. We need to teach social skills to children. This is to help alleviate the caseloads on our social workers. Teachers are not therapists, so how can we help them? Studies have shown that laying the groundwork for students to learn how to get along with each other and form positive relationships leads to less stress and loneliness in children. It leads to academic success and career success. There are grants available that I've looked into, funded by the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, that teach social skills. and we need to look into this. Many schools like West Rocks, they use something called Ruler. Tracy uses print. Rowayton has something called Rowayton Rocks. And these are all well and good, but wouldn't it be better to have a district-wide program where we all use the same lingo, starting in pre-K? Professional development days, teachers will learn skills and activities to help in the classroom, because prevention is the key to help some of these students with their social
Thank you.
issues. Thank you.
Ms. Nasuki.
So staffing issues truly affect our children. When their teacher's not in the classroom, that affects them. So every day, we should be building social emotional learning amongst our classrooms. That can be built into every lesson that they learn, and that is truly important. When it comes to mental health, I'm going to also bring up, we have Ruler at West Rocks, we have Print at Tracy, we have the Norwalk Helps Guide that provides resources to individuals in the community that need help. But SPED, the Special Education Department, it's a funding issue. We get the excess cost grant, but Norwalk only receives a portion of that, 70%. The other 30% is funded by Norwalk residents and our taxes, and that's the challenge. I would advocate for the state to cover 100% of those reimbursable expenses, and that's a conversation that we do need to have at the state, and that is something that's truly important. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. McCready-Brown.
The district is actively investing in recruitment and retention and strategic partnerships. We actually built relationships, as I alluded to earlier, with local universities to create pipelines for special education teachers, counselors, and we are offering targeted incentives, professional development, and support to retain high-quality educators. To improve access to mental health, we've expanded school-based supports, including hiring more counselors, social workers, and psychologists. And we're also partnering with community providers to bring additional services directly into the schools. In special education, we are working with lowering staff-to-student ratios to ensure IEPs are implemented with fidelity. And we're also strengthening inclusive practices so that students receive support in the least restrictive environment.
Thank you.
So this question is near and dear to my heart. To quote one of my favorite comedians, Hannah Gadsby, I'm what's referred to as high-functioning autistic, which does not exactly work because that implies I function highly, which I do not. But for me, I never was properly diagnosed with either ADHD or autism when I was younger. I had to do it as best as I can, with fortunately the best supportive parents that I could have asked for. But so many kids don't have that. There's always the opportunity for new learning and growth as far as adding new facilities and faculty, but it's making sure that each kid gets what they need. Some kids just need a little bit, and it's making sure we have the facilities here. That way we're not having to bust the kids out, which ends up costing the parents more. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Oliver?
I don't know about any of you, but I think it's much harder these days for kids than it was when we were growing up, with all the different social media that they have access to. With that said, their mental health is at risk, and we need to have more specialized teaching to help their needs, and to be able to give teachers the tools that they need so that they don't get burned out, because they're also dealing with their own mental health issues. So I think expanding the pool of special ed teachers that we can have in the school system is very important. Obviously that comes down to money that we need to find and be creative with, but we can do that because it's important to do so.
Thank you. Ms. Britton?
Two separate issues, one being student wellness and the other one being special ed. Regarding student wellness, that requires obviously parental involvement, things going on in the home. It also means I think we're taking a step in the right direction, getting rid of the phones during school time. The constant barrage of data coming at these kids is what I think is one of the reasons why I think they're stressed out. I do believe that we are doing these socio-emotional practices with self-management. I know West Rocks is doing it with Ruler. Tracy's got a print program. The problem is we've got many different programs. They're not consistent, and not all teachers feel qualified to do this. Regarding special ed, if you think it's hard to recruit teachers for the regular classroom, special ed's even worse. I don't know where we're going to get the money. We're cutting garbage services. We can't pay our police overtime. We're the 8th largest contributor in income taxes to the state of Connecticut. We do $1 billion worth of sales on Connecticut and Main Avenue. We could either start getting a percentage of the sales tax, but we've got to fix this funding problem. And talking about all these expensive things is just not going to happen. And anyone who's saying that it can is not telling you the truth about the state of our finances. Thank you.
Mr. Guzman.
All my colleagues here have amazing points, and I agree with many of them. And what I'm going to add is the important part of this, the collaboration. We need to collaborate with parents, we need to collaborate with administration, with mayor, with facilities, universities, mental health organizations, pediatricians. We need to be proactive with this. So collaboration is key for this. Parents need to be part of this, we teachers need to be part of this, but we need to share that with other teachers who will be supporting us, because we will do the academics and the other teachers will help us with the social emotional part. Can we do it? Yes, but we are adding more to us. So we need that support as well.
Thank you. Mr. Hammond.
Hi, as a current school counselor in the Bronx, New York, I have been a counselor for over 10 years. I have also served in the position as a Dean of Discipline, and I've been a classroom teacher for 7 years. One of the things I implement is a comprehensive school counseling program, which means that I myself, the counselor, goes into each classroom bi-weekly, and I teach social and emotional lessons to all students across the every grade band. I do that with data. We have a pre and a post test right before the lesson to ensure that the kids are gaining the skills that we're teaching. So I think implementing this, I've been an American School Counseling Association member for the past 20 years, and they give wonderful tools in order for every school to build a comprehensive program. So if I'm elected, one of the main things I'm going to work towards is every school having a comprehensive school counseling program where not just the students in need, but every student in the building gains access to the school counselor. And we do that through SEL, social emotional lessons, bi-weekly in every single classroom. So every student of mine knows who I am, they know they can come to me, and they're gaining the valuable skills that are necessary to be emotionally healthy.
Thank you. All right. And our last topic for this evening is going to center around budget and transparency. Balancing the budget while maintaining trust with families is a recurring challenge. Many community members want clearer communication about how funds are prioritized and spent. Ms. Kemeny, how will you promote fiscal responsibility, increase transparency, and strengthen trust with parents, staff, and taxpayers in the budgeting process?
Well, in order to do that, we have to get parents' involvement. And then we have to discuss what the priorities are, because there's only so much money to go around. So we have to reallocate funds to where they feel the priorities are. We need to have transparency in the budgets. So I think it would be interesting, because I know that each school gets, I know the elementary level, each school gets their equal funding. And it would be interesting for them to see, parents to see the budget of each school. I don't know if they can break it down that way, but if you could break it down where you know how many paras there are, you know, breaking down the budget, it will show you where the holes are, where they need more funding. Also, one of the things that I think would be very important to build trust with families, it would be to have family coordinators. I know Terry Lakin, who used to be at Columbus or Concord, was an asset to that particular school because she really outreached. She would reach the students, and it would solve a lot of problems before they occurred.
Thank you. Ms. Masuka.
So each school has their site-based budget, and every building has a little bit of a different amount based on the number of students in those schools. And there are things that are fixed items that can't be changed. And it's up to the school governance councils and the parents at that school to start taking a look. What are the priorities in your building? These conversations have to happen early. They can't happen and we all come out and we're upset. We really need to have these conversations early. I really feel that we should be having a conversation, two-way conversation, not a 3-minute comment to the Board of Ed, a true two-way conversation where we're discussing what are the needs of each building so that we can go back and forth with that. I believe that parents need an FAQ on the budget. The budget is not easy to read. What do all the positions mean? And it needs to be translated in a way that our multilingual learner families can understand what the budget means. Because even I sometimes have some questions about, okay, what does this position do and why do we need it? We just need to make sure we're setting priorities at our buildings. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. McCready-Brown.
Balancing limited funds is a challenge, and so we are building partnerships with local businesses, nonprofits, and higher ed to bring in new resources and expand learning opportunities. To increase transparency, though, and to strengthen trust with families, we have expanded access to budget information through community forums. The district has a detailed presentation website that is updated on a regular basis. So for instance, there's an actual, within the website, there's a platform that's dedicated just for the budget. It's a one-stop hub for the operating and capital budget documents. It's got a process timeline on it, an FAQ. There's user-friendly summaries and all of the information that you could see at meetings, videos and presentations and all of that. However, we do know that there are some folks who are not getting the information, and so one of the things that I'd like to do is to work with the administration so perhaps we could actually calendar some specific town halls for people to come out so that we can have a back and forth.
Thank you. Thank you.
So obviously with budget, we're going to have problems as long as we are still under the ECS model. This is, again, we can supplement with grants, we can go to we can fight at Hartford, but it's still trying to figure out what we do with the money that we do have. And so I know there are always going to be concerns. It's, again, having that back and forth with both the teachers and the parents. We have this stuff online, but there are other ways that we can add to accessibility. There's transcripts, there's translations, there's a couple other ways to make sure that we get out to more parents, and it's just making sure that they know that we are listening and that there is an open discussion and forum between all parties involved, just so we can move forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Budgets and transparency. When I think about that, I think about the many jobs that I've held in my lifetime where we're working on budgets. There's only so much money that you have to move around. There are federal mandates, there are state mandates, there are local mandates that determine what we can and can't do. I don't have those answers yet because this is my first time running for the board. And I'm doing that because I want to know what's actually in the budget, why we're making the decisions that we're making. I think it's crucial that we have conversations with parents early on in the process so they know what's going on, so they know how things affect them. It's okay to say no to something. It's okay to say we can't do something if you understand why. But when you don't have that transparency and when you don't understand the process, it can be very frustrating. So I would love for us to have more conversations as opposed to talking to people. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Britton?
The problem with government is when you have problems like things like the budget, they take a long time to fix. And politicians rely on voters having short memories. I compare our budget issues to like Lucy and Charlie Brown. Every time you know what she's going to do, she's going to pull the football out from under him. And that's what's happened to us with our budget over the last 20 years. The difference is now our demographics have gotten that much needier. We have fewer and fewer homeowners in Norwalk. We've got 19,000 homeowners picking up about 70% of the budget. As I said earlier, we're struggling whether or not we pay overtime to the police officers. We are shortchanging our garbage. We are doing everything to try and fund this school system that has been struggling for 20 years. If I get elected, I will be making this the #1 issue out of the city of Norwalk, and it frustrates me that our government has just kind of been passively sitting by while we've watched this tick away for the last 2 decades. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Bulow?
For me, budget is not just numbers. It's the value of the community. And if the community do not trust us, then it doesn't matter how we present the information to you, there is not trust. So we need to be clear on what are we doing with the money, how we get the money, how are we using the money, where are we putting the money, because this is about the students. This is about the resources they need. This is about the teachers who are the main characters here because they are the ones teaching our kids. So how are we going to do that? It's being transparent. It's being fair. Yes, we need more money, but we cannot depend only on us, the people who live here, and the taxes. We need to be creative. Let's start finding other ways. Let's talk to our representative to go to Hartford and fight for us. Change that formula. And then start working with other organizations. Maybe we can get donations that helps with the fund. But we need to be very proactive and very creative because this is the community we live on.
Thank you very much. Mr. Jaime?
Hi, you build honesty through trust. You build trust and honesty through you build trust through honesty, transparency, accessibility, and being responsive. Making information accessible is not enough. We need to be accessible. We need to be responsive to the parents. On this journey that I've been on running for the board, I've noticed that many people use this Board of Education seat for political gain. We need less politicians on the board, and we need more teachers, more parents, more educators on the board. And if I'm elected, that's one of the main things I am running on. I'm not a politician. I have no desire to be a politician. I'm not going to run for council. I'm not going to run for mayor. I want to help education. I'm an educator. I've been an educator for over 22 years, and that's my main focus. Politicians go along with the whatever agenda. They don't want to rub anybody wrong. I'm not going to be that. I'm going to be a person who advocates for students no matter what, because I have no political interest in this.
Thank you. And Mr. Caceres?
A good portion of the school budget is controlled by external contracts with unions. Those are set in stone for years. Those are dollars that we can't touch. So we have to look at dollars that we can't touch, we can't manage. For example, when I was on the BOE previously, we took the mailing operations and we consolidated them between the city and the BOE. We saved $60,000 a year by just doing that one thing. I'm sure there are other things that we can consolidate. Another thing that we can do is work closely with the city finance department and create a 3-year budget and strategic plan that aligns with student achievement. I'm sure that we can project what the grant list is going to look like over the next 3 years by looking at the applications of apartments that are coming down the line. And we can come up with a common sense budget, not one that is full of surprises at the end of the year that fires teachers and cancels music programs. We are one city. Let's stop embarrassing one another and let's work together for the good of the city.
Thank you. All right, well, that concludes our candidate panel. I'd like to thank everyone for their thoughtful responses and for tolerating my couple of missteps there. But we are going to take a very short break and we'll come back to hear from the mayoral candidates, where each of the 4 mayoral candidates are going to have up to 5 minutes to sort of just give their overall thoughts, impressions, etc. Regarding the education here in Norwalk, public schools, and the budget concerns. Our order has been selected at random for this evening, and first up we have, I'm sorry if I mispronounce this, Mr. Cigitano. Close enough? Okay, all right, good. I am Italian, so. So you can come up here and we'll let you know. Thank you. No, well, when you gotta cut it off.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. I'd like to thank all of our Board of Ed candidates. We have a fantastic panel this election cycle. I would like to give them all a big hand of applause for their dedication to the city. So my name is Vinny Cicatano. I am not a politician. I am a problem solver. And the problems that I have identified with the Board of Education run very deep, that I've seen and all of you have seen. A lot of this problems come from lack of trust. The trust has been broken between the teachers, the parents, the people who work with our children, and the Board of Education. That trust has to be restored. Before we can move forward and advance this school system, we have to recognize that we need to bring that trust back to the Board of Education and to the city of Norwalk. That budget battle that went on in the spring was a real black eye to the city of Norwalk. It should have never happened, and we have to ensure that it never happens again. But I have not seen anything put in place yet to alleviate my fears that next year's budget battle is not going to be worse, or perhaps face deeper cuts. The budget was repaired or put back together in a patchwork manner from a couple $1 million here, a couple $1 million from the state. We can't do this every year. We have to look at a long-term plan, a long-term way to fund our school system. So there was some talk this evening about, attracting good teachers and attracting good people in our school system. I will use, for example, the principal of the school you're in right now has been nationally recognized for excellence. So I don't believe we have a problem with our staff. We have a problem with our administration. So moving forward, once again, we have a great panel of, on our Board of Education candidates here. We must look deeper than just party line. Don't just vote along one line. You've seen what they all have to say. Vote for the candidates that you think are going to do best. As an administrator that I will be overseeing everything as mayor, we need to recognize that we can't keep electing the same people and expecting different results. So some of the long-term plans we have here as mayor, the budget is everything is derived from the budget. But we cannot continue to just throw money at things without oversight to make sure that we're getting our value for the money we put into it. So we were about to lose 100 people, over 100 educators, because they say we have budget problems. Sure, we do have budget problems, but how do we resolve these problems moving forward for the long term? There are several ways we can do this. So the conversation always revolves around ECS funding, ESC funding, and that is what we're always talking about. But we've been battling that for decades. For decades we've been battling that. So it's about time we figure out all the ways around that, because in case that doesn't really happen. So some of our budget aspects could be repaired in numerous ways. One, first and foremost, encompassing getting quality teachers, new teachers online. I would like to propose to the state that we do what 20 other states do in our country, and that's offer tax credits to teachers. Teachers should get income tax credits and different tax credits across the board to work in Connecticut, and that would attract people. I think we should try to attract younger teachers by helping them achieve their master's degree towards their teaching certificate. If we can break that up over 5 years, that way they work in the system for 5 years, we will pay for their education to that point. It will bring younger teachers in. And one of the many aspects of funding that will bring younger teachers in will help is that perhaps we can offer some early retirement to the older teachers. So there's several things we can do to try to shore up our budget on our own. One of the things I would be a strong advocate for, many of these apartment buildings and projects that we built have been tax abated, and Norwalk have $2 billion in tax abatements. I would say as these buildings come online and paying full property tax, that money should be entirely directed to our Board of Education. Because the Board of Education isn't just about the Board of Education, it's about all of us. It's about the city. Where the school system goes is where the city goes. Housing, homeowner values, property values, all depend upon our quality school system. And our school system is, as far as the personnel goes, we're probably the best in the country. We do a fantastic job here. But we're settling as well. I mean, at the last Board of Education meeting I went to, we had charts and graphs about how much better we're doing than Waterbury and Bridgeport and New Haven. I don't consider that success if we're doing better than the larger urban cities. I want to know that we're doing better than Darien, Greenwich, New Canaan. That's a measurement of success in my mind. So there are a lot of things we can do, but it all revolves around bringing trust back and transparency. And transparency is going to be key. I advocate for an ad hoc committee of teachers, parents, union leaders to be the go-between City Hall and the Board of Education so that transparency is paramount. And I will attend every Board of Education meeting. I will oversee it myself. From day one, I'm going to address the budget issues that we have and formulate a plan that's going to take us to the next 10 years or more. Thank you very much.
And next up, we will have Mr. John Kites. And next up, we will have Mr. John Kites.
I'm not going to be as loud, but I hopefully get my point across just as well. Quick intro on myself. I married to my wife Naomi, who's with us today. I have 2 children, my son John, who is 19, and my daughter Sophia, who is 21. And they products of the Norwalk public school system. And during that time when they were in the schools, my wife and I were very involved. My wife is PTA president, God bless you, of Nathan Hale, treasurer at Narrowmack, and myself, I was on the school governance council at both schools. So I have experience. I know the city budget. As my time on the council, I spent 10 years, and what really motivated me to get on the council were the schools. So I have the experience of both the council and day-to-day operations from our schools. So I got a clear understanding in 10 years doing it, and God bless all these candidates that were up here tonight. Whoever wins, you're in for a wild ride. There are several reasons, as many of you who are currently involved in the Board of Ed, what's driving the costs for our schools. I mean, costs that we haven't had to incur on this level ever before. We're identifying special needs kids at a younger age because testing has improved. Recent data I saw, 1 in 5 students are English language learner students. So these are costs that Nora's never seen on this level. And it's become unsustainable for those 19,000 homeowners to continue with the Board of Education budget increases. It's especially with the ESSER funding that we had, it's gotten us through this, the money received for COVID. That money's over. People I talk to within City Hall say, Norwalk is broke. That's the words they use when referring to Norwalk's financial status at this moment. The ARPA funding on the city side, the ESSER funding on the Board of Ed side has gone. So there are some tough times. And I know the only thing, and I say this from 10 years of experience on the council and being heavily involved in our schools, the only thing that will get us over this hump and take that liability off the taxpayer, who have seen nothing but high tax increases, is ECS funding increases. And I am not of the belief that we cannot change Hartford's formula to increase ECS funding. It's unfortunate that no elected Democrat will go to Hartford to lobby for extra ECS funding, because if they do, they will be ostracized from the party. And I think all of you remember about a few months back when the Democratic leadership attacked our superintendent and Board of Ed. I think you all remember that. And that was strictly for the reason they went to Hartford and asked for more CECS funding. They went to the palace, poked the king, and they got punished. So if elected mayor, I don't have those same limitations. And I have a big mouth. I will promise that I will go to Hartford with buses full of students, parents, and teachers and demand more ECS funding. On top of that, hiring and contracting lobbyists to be in Hartford on a constant basis and go as far as taking legal action, whatever it takes. So anyway, thank you all for your time. I want to thank the Board of Ed members for dedicating your time because it's not an easy job. Thank you.
Thank you to everyone for being here. I am a very proud former Norwalk Public Schools teacher. And I spent 9 years working right here in this building at Ponus Ridge Middle School. And I'm also very proud of our schools. We have excellent schools, we have excellent teachers, and I say that really loud and clearly, and I think that, that's an important message because no one should ever doubt the staff who is so committed to your kids. So I just want to make sure that that's really clear. So yeah, we've had a lot of challenges. And I guess I'm just going to talk about my experience and what I have supported over the last 8 years that I have been on the council and what I intend to continue doing and do differently. So as a member of the council, I have supported historic increases in our operating budget, and we know it's not enough, right? We know it's really never enough, but we have had historic increases. I've also supported our facilities. You know, when I worked in this school, we really had some, maintenance problems, and so we've had commitments. I've supported in improving maintenance. I've supported facilities upgrades, as well as building new schools. We are very lucky to have a 60% reimbursement for building new schools for the next 25 years, and so there is a plan, and so I will continue to support that. I'll continue to, so that's operating budget as well as capital budget, as well as wraparound services for our kids. So that's something I feel really committed to. I have been on the Community Services Committee. I chair the Community Services Department. Sorry, I haven't eaten, and so I'm a little shaky. This is the story of my life these days. The Community Services Committee of the Common Council. So we have approved a lot of wraparound services from the city side that helps our kids and helps keep costs down on the Board of Ed side. I am committed also to chairing the Board of Education, and I think that that's something that will really help to bring us together. I'm committed to bringing us together and ending the divisiveness. It doesn't serve anyone. We all want the same things. We want our kids to get a whole education. We want our teachers to get be able to serve our kids with proper funding. So again, we all want the same thing, and I think the best way to bring us together is to chair the Board of Ed. Now, the mayor does not have a vote, so I want to make that clear, but can set agendas that are student-focused and transparent to all of us so that everyone knows what's going on. So that's something I'm committed to doing. There's been the animosity that's been going on just doesn't serve anyone. And I think we can do a lot better, and I'm committed to doing a lot better. What else was talked about this? Oh yeah, thanks for reminding me. I'm also committed to going to Hartford. So lots been said about the ECS funding. There was an increase over the last 5 years in ECS funding for Norwalk. It's, again, never enough. But I think we need more special education funding because the special education needs have increased so much. Our kids have been really struggling with, it's not just the special education, but it's all those wraparound services that we need. So I'm committed to fighting in Hartford and going on a regular basis. I think that that's something that the Mayor Rilling has never really fully taken advantage of, is going on a regular basis and fighting, because our state delegation needs that support to to hear from all of us that what they're providing for us is not enough. We've had unfunded mandates and underfunded mandates from the federal government, from the state government for decades. And I think anyone who works in a classroom knows that. It's been going on for decades. So we just need to continue that fight, and I'm committed to doing it. So thanks to everyone for being here, and I hope I have your support.
Can everybody, oh man, I can hear me. How's everybody doing? Tired? We're all tired. It's a school night. I'm gonna be real honest. This is probably not my wheelhouse. I don't have children in the school system. Last time I was in public school, this frequently was 1991. I've been in a lot more public schools in this political process. So all I can really provide you is quantitative data, not really qualitative data, besides some anecdotal things I've heard from teachers and Board of Education people. And it's a difficult, confusing situation we have here. But what I do know we have is that we have only 33% of our third grade students reading at grade level. It doesn't get much better. As we get to high school, we got 40% at level in graduation, and we got about 27% at level in 8th grade. So regardless of where we find funding or how we adjust administration or any of those elements, I strongly want to bring those numbers up. I'm old school. I still remember the 3 R's of reading, writing, arithmetic. And without those fundamental skill sets, we are not setting up our students and future residents for success. I believe most of this information from Norwalk Acts. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. They have a great data set. And they are very active in sort of applying, I guess, a more public-private partnership to kind of fill in the blanks that it seems to have in our public education. We need to increase our ECS funding. That is as simple as that. All of us are saying it. It seems to be a requirement. I do not believe that we should actually equate ourselves with Darien or other locales, because if you look at their affordable housing, it's 2.4 to 5%. And if you look at their student demographics, they have an entirely different subset. So it would be nice to be on level with our neighbors. I do think that the Danbury and Bridgeport metric is kind of more akin to what we got in terms of our student body. So on that note, I already plan on going to Hartford to deal with other issues in regards to renters' rights and transit equity, and I will obviously be happy to speak on behalf and, I guess, be in their face colloquially to get the money that we deserve. Because we do exist in a place that probably has the largest wealth discrepancy in all of Fairfield County, probably all of Connecticut, where you can be on a mile street and have literally 30 times $3.1 million on average households, compared to about 350,000, and you don't have to make a left turn or a right turn, you just go a mile down the road. So I believe that if we are truly going to engage in equity in our school programs, we need equitable funding from the state, and I'll be happy to do that. I used to take the bus up there to, I'm sorry, not the bus, the train, to advocate for other issues, and this would be something I will put full effort behind. That's about that. I think we're done. You guys good? Yeah. Cool.
All right, so our first question, we will just, we'll take it down the line here we have 3 questions selected. So our first question is, how will you advocate for fair ECS funding for Norwalk Public Schools specifically?
Well, to do that, we need to present information to, Hartford and our representative. And with that information, we can go there and say, look, this is what we need. We are comparing ourselves with other cities in Fairfield County. okay, they receive more funding, but we have this, and we need more help from you. So that's what we need to advocate. That's what we need to fight. We cannot go and say, hey, increase the ACS without information, without a support. We need to have that information and present that to them. But we need collaboration from our representative, the board, mayor, everybody in the community. If we fight together, we can get it.
Well, I suppose we have to go up there and to Hartford and show them the data of how many MLL students that we have and our poverty level. We have to show them that data, that we deserve enough funds to support those students that are living in our community. So the only way we're going to get it, if we prove to them what our makeup is of our city.
Well, I've been fighting this since 2005 when Mayor Knopp first signed on to the lawsuit, and they don't care. Things are getting much worse for both Norwalk and Stamford in terms of this funding. Whether we get it or not, and whether we unify as a city and talk about the drastic nature of not being able to fund your police or your garbage collection because of where our school system has gotten to, there are also other ways to fund education. Sales taxes, as I told you. We're the 8th largest contributor in, we have 45,000 tax returns that we send to Hartford. We're 8th largest contributor, and we've got about $1 billion worth of retail sales. Education has to be funded differently than by the value of houses and poor cities or rich cities. And for a Democrat-controlled state, which is what we are, it is absolutely hypocritical to talk about equity and closing the achievement gap when funding's done the way it is. So I've made a lot of noise as a private citizen. As an elected official, I'd be even worse. So there you go.
Well, again, as a member of the disabled community, I've had to do a lot of self-advocacy for myself. And I know that this is something that we have to make sure that they can't ignore us. If, you know, we might not be as drastic as, you know, some of my compatriots crawling up the steps of the Capitol, but, you know, it is making sure that they know that, look, we're not doing this for the good of our health. We're doing it for the good of the health of our kids. And we need to show the statistics, but also show them, hit them in the compassion, because we need to be there for our kids. And we need to make sure that they know that.
Thank you. I'm not an ECS funding expert by any means, but I would think data. Whenever you're talking about funding, there needs to be data attached to it to show where the funding needs to go, particularly the special education population. But I also think there needs to be accountability whenever you're getting funding from ECS or from any other source. You need to be able to show where that funding is going. So we need to create comprehensive programs that are data-driven, where we could then not only receive the money, but then actually prove that we're using the money the right way, that it's creating a change, that it's helping. So I would think, you know, besides the advocating, also holding ourselves accountable as a board to create programs to show where the funding's actually going.
The reality is, it's tied to our property values. That is not going to change. We can try, I say we still continue to fight, but we've got to be creative. We need to look at our public-private partnerships. We need to look at our community partners. We need to look at other grants. We have a large multilingual learner community. We have a high free and reduced lunch population. We have students with specialized learning needs. We can get money from the state for those things. We already are, and maybe that is an area that we need to look at and start looking for increases. Again, we continue to fight for ECS, but we need to look at different avenues. Thank you.
So this seems like a very simple question, but the answer is actually quite more complex. And the way for us to actually handle it is, one, to have a good partnership with the mayor's office, to go up to Hartford, to continue to fight and fight and fight with facts, to show them the numbers, what we need and why we need it. But we also need to look at funding from other avenues. Look at corporate funding, look at personal funding. Find other ways to work around the system to get what we need, because we need the money, and we only do this together.
I think we have to be honest with ourselves. Hartford has money. Every week we see, oh, we're getting another $3 million to put in a new city dock, or we're getting $2 million to do intersections. Now, I don't mind a new city dock. I'm a voter. I'm not against that, but what's important to us? At this time, our schools need money. We can delay the city dock maybe for another couple of years. Money is coming to Norwalk, but I don't think it's coming to the right place, and I think we need to advocate for that.
The reality is that the ECS is based on a formula, and given that Norwalk does have high property values, it will be a challenge. And so what we need to do is look at other streams of funding, like I alluded to earlier, philanthropic partnerships, looking at grants, and maybe even some corporations who would help us out with some funding. We know that we have a high MLL population, as well as an increase in specialized learners. Somebody indicated earlier that our enrollment is down. Our enrollment may be down or flat. However, the students that we are enrolling have more needs, and the students with more needs cost more money. And so maybe there's a way for us to get an increase in special education dollars. And I know that the ECS formula was modified recently, so wish us luck.
Thank you. We're going to start this end and go the other way, just keep it fair. And this is actually going to be our last question because of some time constraints, but thank you all for being here. So our final question of the evening, and as a parent myself, this is an important one. How will you ensure equitable parental participation when parents work, especially MLL families, those of lower socioeconomic status, et cetera? How will you make this a more inclusive process to involve parents?
I think one of the things that we need to do, and I mentioned this earlier, and that is to, I would work with the administration to perhaps calendar some town hall meetings. When we have Board of Education meetings, it's not structured for a back and forth because it's a meeting that is a business meeting, and by law, we have to stick to what's on the agenda. And so I really would work with the administration so that we could actually have more town hall meetings. We have a family center that's very active in terms of working with our community, particularly our MLL community, and helping them with gathering up resources. And so we just, basically I just would like to see us have some additional meetings so that we could really engage people more. The district does have an application called Parent Square that families can use to get all kinds of information. There was a time when parents were actually saying that we're giving them too much information, there was too much on the Parent Square. But I think that we just have to be creative. All of our meetings are recorded, they're on YouTube. Our meetings are translated in Spanish and in French Creole. If you don't know where to get the information, you can certainly go old school and call the office, and somebody will tell you the information or how to get it.
I agree with Sherry. We need to do town hall meetings in their communities. You know, we have to go to their churches, go down to where they live, and have meetings. It doesn't have to be just a Tuesday night, like a Board of Ed meeting. Our administrators are on salary. They don't work 9 to 5. They can go at night and go meet with people, or they can go during the day. You know, they don't have to just live by the 9 to 5 rule. When I was on the Board of Ed, we had Board of Ed meetings in different schools, so we can share, you know, the equity and have different types of people come in. We brought in Creole speakers, we brought in Spanish speakers, all different types of speakers, so we can make sure that everybody got a fair shot and understood what was going on.
First, I want to say, I think everyone that's standing up here wants the same thing, to have a better future for our kids. That vision may be a little bit different from one to the next. Our path to get there may be a little different, but we all want the same thing. Me as a parent, going to PTO meetings, I've seen students going there with their parents because they have to translate what's being said to their parents because their parents don't understand. I would imagine the same thing is happening when we're talking about budgets and what's going on. So we need to have more town hall meetings. We need to be able to translate things for parents to have them better understand what's going on in the schools, in their communities, and finding out how we can reach out to them and help them. Thank you.
So this is where I think the parent coordinator at every building is one of the most important positions. And I just want to let everybody know it's not funded in every building. Sometimes buildings have to use grant funding to fund these positions. That person is the lifeline to many families, and we need to make sure that that position is absolutely funded. Again, I had said earlier, we do need that town hall type of meeting, whether it be monthly, quarterly, but we need to have that back and forth conversation. It really just can't be us giving that 3-minute speech. I also want to say that many families come to Norwalk from other countries. They don't understand that it's their right to participate. And how do we get that information out to them? How do we educate? And again, that goes back to the parent coordinator. It goes back to the school governance councils. And it's those conversations that we need to continually have. And for just the everyday parent that tries to find time to go to all of these meetings, you know, we need to start prioritizing our website. We talked about the website earlier. I don't think it's the easiest website to maneuver. I was searching for information and I can't find it. Do you understand? I was looking for notes for something and I couldn't find it. I said, if I'm having this challenge and I work day in and day out with many systems, how does everybody else access this information? So we've got to do a better job. I talked about an FAQ earlier. Parents need an FAQ. They need that to understand what are their roles. How do they be part of governance in the community? Thank you.
Thank you. I actually, I like all of their responses. I think a combination of all of them. I think reaching out and getting in the communities ourselves. I think more FAQs where parents have a voice with their concerns. But I think just being more accessible, being more honest, being more transparent, not being afraid to meet parents where they are, whether that's socially, economically, or language. Just making the parents feel like they're part of the process, I think is very key, because once parents start to feel like they're part of the process, they will become the process, and then that's how we build community. So I think meeting people where they're at, and being accessible and being more human is the way to go.
And along that line, aside from just being out there in the community, obviously we've talked about the fact that not everyone can make it to these meetings. Even if we have these scheduled dates, you've got parents, especially in several of these immigrant communities, that are working 2-3 jobs. They can't make it to the meeting even if we tell them what time it is. And so it's making sure that there is open accessibility on our websites. The FAQ is definitely a possibility, but also making sure there are proper submission forms, ways that there can maintain communication outside of these meetings, just to make sure that we are able to reach out to everyone regardless of their availability, because even if they can't make it to these meetings, they still want to be there for their kids, and we want to be able to help them do that. Thank you.
3 factors in terms of ensuring student achievement and closing the achievement gap is parental involvement, collaborative environment between administration and teaching staff, and rigorous academics. I suspect everyone gave very good answers about more in-person meetings, enhancing the parent coordinator, and being more accessible. I suspect we could probably reduce a couple of head count in terms of administration and beefing up that parent coordinator at the school level and doing outreach to parents. As we said, a lot of the parents are from different cultures. They are A lot of them are going to be more respectful of the system, thinking that, you know, the system knows all the right things for their children. As we all know, as Americans, you've got to advocate for your children and be involved. So I suspect I would want to involve, like I said, get some more parent coordinators in each of the schools, where the parents are, where the kids are, and do outreach that way. And I think that would solve some of our socio-emotional and some of the other issues that we've got by just closing the loop at home. Thanks.
Yes, as I said, I worked at Columbus Concord School, and the parent coordinator was essential at the school. She communicated with the parents who were uncomfortable and didn't feel welcome. She would organize nighttime things to bring the parents in. I know that to have student success, the students were always excited when there would be conferences. And I remember the teachers would say, whose parents came? And the ones who didn't raise their hand or their parents didn't come, it was very upsetting for them. So we have to make it a comfortable environment and have the student coordinator make it available for the parents to get here, for PPTs. They need to help arrange for transportation, because I know that that isn't required. I know a couple of times I went and picked up some parents to come for PPTs because they didn't know how to get there, and I think that that's important. I also would like to say that we can use our high school students. They have a community service that they need to do. They can come out on these PPT or the teacher conference nights, because a lot of the parents don't come because they have no babysitting. And who's going to babysit? So sometimes they can be used to do community service. They can make it an area so that they can play and the kids can play, so the parents get involved. That's the top priority, is getting parent involvement.
All right, the last one. I'm going to add something to what everybody's saying. And this is something my wife and I, we did. We used to live in Danbury before we moved to Norwalk. My girls went to a public school there. We were a body family for those who didn't speak English. And I think that was a good thing, not only for us, my wife and I, but my kids, because they feel the sense of service and be part of the community. And through the years, after we moved here, we've been doing that, helping. So if we incorporate something like that in the school system, we will help those in the community that are multi-language learners, especially the families who they have to work 2 or 3 jobs, that they don't understand how the system works. And with the help of high schoolers who can do babysitting, they can babysit in school, because that's what we did. High schoolers went to the elementary school in Danbury and they babysat these kids. And we were there explaining, helping with the translation. So why we don't incorporate that too? I think that would be a good idea, and also give the sense of community and service.
All right. Well, that concludes our forum for the evening. I would just like to again thank all our candidates, Mayoral and BOE. And make sure you get out to the ballot box and make your voice heard. Thank you to everybody for keeping it civil, and hope you all have a great evening. Thanks very much.
Candidates, question for you actually, really fast. If I put a list together of the questions that were not answered, would you guys answer through email, and I can put it back out there for everybody?